Well, welcome to the March sail points for the Soling 50 class for the San Diego Argonauts. We're here on the Mission Bay Pond in Mission Bay. We've got nice wind out of the west, about 6 to 8 knots. And we've got about 30 seconds, maybe a little bit more until the start of the race.
30 seconds.
I'm sailing a red boat with a red stripe on the jib. That boat is now coming right in the middle of the screen, coming toward the camera. I'm wearing a little miniature camera mounted on top of my hat. So wherever my head is turned, it's going to be the picture you see. Now let's see, that's 15 seconds until the start. That's a fair starting line between the two marks. 8 seconds until the start. I'm stalling a little bit, trying to get myself positioned for the line, and that's exactly what I wanted to do. I wanted to be at speed and at the pin with clear air at the start. It's gotten a little bit light at this point. The boat's standing up a little bit. Everybody looks like they're pretty much staying on starboard. We've got 9 boats racing today. Whoops, I just stepped in a hole in the sand there. Tacked over to port. I thought there was a little bit better air out to this right hand side. We've got a pretty good lift, a little bit of a lift going on here. And you can see I'm going to get into a little bit of shallow water. I've got my eyes glued on the tailtails, trying to keep those streaming and keep the boat moving. Make sure I don't have those sails in too tight. Once the boat gets up to speed, I'll pull them in all the way, but if the wind gets a little light, I'll slack them off just a touch. Just crack them to keep the boat moving. Looking pretty good here. Going across the pond on starboard. Got a couple of boats fairly close. I've got nice air, good heel in the boat. I think my air is clear. I'm just below 16. I'm driving just a little bit. I want to make sure that don't wind up in his bad air. Now I'm going to be approaching the mark, the weather mark there. I took a glance. That's the weather mark. It's off the screen to the right, and then an offset mark. Okay, 16, just tacked onto port, and I followed him. It's a little light, a few little puffs. Looks like he went back on starboard. I'm staying on port. I have to watch out for starboard tackers coming in. 711 just tacked onto starboard. I'm behind him, no problem. I'm going a little further, it looks like, than I really needed to, but I wanted to make sure I was
Sleeper, you going to do a turn?
not going to be
81
not going to be short on the lay line.
16. Port and starboard with 711. You guys clanked.
There's a little talk going on about one of the boats that tacked a little close to another
Wasn't that
one of the
a port and
boats.
starboard?
So we're around the weather mark in pretty good shape, around the offset mark, and now we're going to head downwind.
Couldn't have been any clearer.
If you haven't heard it before, my philosophy is get a good start, have clear air, sail on the lifts to the weather mark, and if you do that, you're going to be in pretty good shape at the weather mark. So I've kind of accomplished that. So with this, we're going to move right on to race number 2. Okay, here we are at race number 2. About 30 seconds, maybe a touch more until the start. Again, that's a fair start line, working right down the 2 red buoys. Typically line myself up to be right along with the buoys so I can accurately judge where that start line is. Wind's hanging in there pretty well. Good air, 6 knots, 8 knots, something like that. Coming right down the pond. 10 seconds till the start.
6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Well, I was waiting to hear if I was called over early on that one, and I was not. It was certainly close. But apparently it was a good start. So I'm in the position I like to be in. I was on starboard tack, at speed, right at the pin. Actually, I was kind of running down the line a little bit. But I did have the freedom to tack onto port when I want to. If I got headed, I would just flop that boat right over. Looks like I'm staying on starboard right now. I'm in pretty good position on the fleet. Now I'm having to look all the way across the pond to read those telltales, but that's exactly what I'm straining my eyes to do. I want to keep those telltales flying. Oops, I think I found the hole, same one I fell into last race. And there I just went on to port. Started coming back in this direction. There's a little bit of a lift. You could just see me right there. You just saw me hit up about 10 degrees or so as that lift comes in from port. Look like I'm in pretty good shape. Boat's standing up just a little bit. That's telling me the air's a little on the light side. Boats are not up to full speed. At this point I think I'm just making sure I'm staying between the competition and that weather mark. I've got my sails cracked, I'm sure. Getting it moving. Wind swirling around a little bit. You can see the boat heel over and then stand back up again. So the wind's gotten a little bit squirrely up here, but it will do that on occasion. Port and starboard, not too close. Doesn't have to worry about him too much. I find the ley line here. I'm going to go just a little bit extra because of this squirrely wind. I don't want to be caught short. So you can see how much I've let my sails out when I came around. All I wanted to do was make sure that I was clear ahead of the other boats going around the weather mark. So I didn't mind overstanding a little bit. That was the conservative thing to do. Okay, now I'm off to the reach mark. And again, get a good start, sail on the lifts. You'll be in good shape at the weather mark. If you can do that, then I think overall in the race you're going to do just fine. You've got the if you can do that, you do have the skills developed, and you just keep applying those same skills. That is boat speed, sailing on the lifts. Okay, we'll move on to race number 3.
30 seconds.
All right, here we are at race number 3. Wind's still in that 6 to 8 knot category, out of the west. A few shifts.
20 seconds.
I think that's about 20 seconds until the start. Yeah, 15 seconds now. I'm the red boat, maneuvering around.
9, 8, 7.
There's a big crowd here at the pin.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Orange.
5.
Well,
5 needs to go through the mark, through the start.
quite a crowd at the pin in that time.
Gee, Merry Christmas.
Not quite sure what all was going on there. A lot of boats. Looked like a lot of live and let live. Nobody was yelling at anybody else. So I kind of came out at the toward the tail end of that one. But I worked over to the right. I've got clear air now. Actually, I don't have a lot of air right now. The boat's standing up. Looks like I'm in a light spot. The boats further on the other side of the pond look pretty good. They're moving pretty well. There we go. There's a little wind coming in. The boat starts laying over. So I've got my work cut out for me. So this looks like a pretty good lift to me. Starboard tack. Not quite sailing up the pond, straight up the pond, but pretty close to it. So that, I'm going to guess that's about a 30-degree lift going on right now. It's coming a little bit more. You can see I'm basically just headed right up the pond. Okay. I thought that wind was a little light ahead of me. I went over to port. Got those sails cracked out a little bit. I'm trying to make the boat move, not point at this point. There we go. There's some good air. Then I'll pull those sails in. As soon as that boat starts heeling over and I know the boat's up to speed, then we'll pull them in all the way. That's nice air. That's good air for a Soling 50. Driving into some shallow water here. Get as close as I can.
Anyone needs sea room? 1364.
There we go.
Thank you.
Sea room. They gave it to me. I think I'm going to be on the ley line. I think I'm going to be okay. I've got clear air. I'm trying to work the boat up a little bit. There's a maneuver. I'd cut inside of the boat that was clear ahead, so I didn't have rights to do that, but that was room. He left that door open and I went in there. And then, at 4 boat lengths, I had an inside overlap on that offset mark, so I did have rights. I had established rights for the offset mark. So I took a little chance. Looked like it paid off okay. And at this point, we're headed downwind to a mark off to the left. But getting around the weather mark in good shape is my primary objective. So those are the leaders. Looks like I'm in 4th place, pretty close to the leaders. So my work's cut out to go catch up with them. So hope you picked up some tips. Again, race week is going to be in August this year here at the pond in Mission Bay. So maybe you're getting a few tips on conditions we have here. What are typical conditions? And this is fairly typical for us. So maybe you picked a few things up. Okay, that's going to do it for our Sail Points races for Sailing 50 today. Hope to see you next month.